What's the right rear differential fluid to use in your Aston Martin DB9? In this episode of Aston1936.com, I'm going to be talking about the rear differential fluid in my Aston Martin DB9 that's fitted with a 6-speed Touchtronic II automatic transmission. If you have a manual transmission or a sport shift manual transmission car, this is not the video you want to watch. You're going to want to watch my other video on the manual transmission fluid change. The reason for that is that the cars that have the manual transmissions, the differential and the manual transmission actually share the same fluid and the same fluid reservoir. So if you're changing the manual transmission fluid, you're changing the rear differential fluid at the same time. So that's an entirely different video. This one's focused on the automatic. So the first place I thought I'd check is the official glove box owner's manual, a place that we often forget to check. And sure enough, it's actually defined in here in the fluids and capacities section. And it says for the automatic transmission final drive oil, the rear differential, to use Shell transaxle oil 75W90. And I also went and I checked the official Aston Martin Workshop manual that the technicians used, and it says the same thing. Use Shell automatic transmission oil 75W90. So I thought I would also check in with Mike from Bamford Rose in the UK. Bamford Rose is an independent Aston Martin service specialist that focuses on Gaydon era cars like this. And Mike is a former performance engineer for Aston Martin. So let's see what Mike has to say. Hi Mike, thanks for joining me. I was just thinking about the rear differential fluid that I use in my 2005 DB9 Coupe. And I'm wondering what you recommend for your customers at Bamford Rose.
Yeah, hi there, Steve. Well, when original DB9 came out in 2005, then there was some criticism of the harshness of the diff. There was some diff chatter and there used to be a bit of diff whine. I think that was taken care of in warranty if owners complained and their diffs were renewed. But when it comes to servicing the oil now, then in the rear differential for your DB9, which is a part of the transactional system, part of the ZF Auto that it's mated to, we use the Castrol BOT 270A in the rear, which is that stuff. So you could use a decent, say a Castrol Syntrax 7590, but then we never ever perform a fluid renewal without filling with the additive that comes from the factory also, which is the Kendall. So it prevents diff chatter and noise.
Finding that Castrol fluid you have there here in the United States is like near impossible. So I've been going with the Castrol Syntrax, like that you mentioned, but I haven't been using the additive, so I'm going to have to start adding that into my service regime. So
that's perfectly fine in the DB9 diff. It's just it doesn't carry over to the V8 gearbox. Okay. So we use the Castrol BOT 270A in the DB9 rear diff and in the V8 gearbox.
So this is fairly readily available here in the US. It's says it's for limited slip, but you're saying the additive helps with the chatter from the diff?
Yeah, on not just chatter. I mean, from cold, if you're on full lock and just pulling away, then there's some differentials that literally feel like they want to rip themselves out of the car and bounce down the street. The diff grab is that bad. And the very first time, we're going back many, many years now, the very first time that a car exhibited that problem and we filled with the Kendall additive, it's just unbelievable that such a small bottle can have such a large effect, because almost the diff is so quiet and so smooth that you don't know it's there.
So, well, I'm going to try that out. I actually can feel that grab on a cold day. It's February right now. If I'm pulling out of our parking lot and I make a hard right-hand turn out of the parking lot, when I get on the gas, man, I mean, I can feel the diff back there doing stuff. It's like gripping like crazy. It feels very abrupt, I guess, as I can feel something shifting in the rear when I get on the power. So it'll be neat to see if that changes when I put some additive in. So what if I'm in a market where I can't track down the Castrol someplace in the world where it's just not available? What would you do in that situation?
Well, it's 75 W90 and any high pressure 75 W90, especially if they talk about it being really good for limited slip differentials, then that's going to be good. Obviously, it's going to be of a decent enough price and brand to meet the standard, and that's what's important with any fluid or lube. Does it meet the fundamental standard requirements? If it does, then that's good to go.
Any other tips before we finish up?
No, other than what we spoke about for absolutely imperative, just to fill with the Kendall additive. And as far as I'm aware, that does come from the States. So that should be really simple to source from outside the Aston network.
All right. Well, I'll link to that in the description of the article here. Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate your help.
No problem, Steve.
So my recommendation then depends on how easily you could get the fluid. If you can actually get the Shell Spirax AXME 75W90, this is a great choice. You can probably pick it up at your local dealer no matter where you are, or if you can source it otherwise locally, go for that. If you can't get a hold of this stuff, my recommendation then is to go for the Castrol Syntrax limited slip 75W90. This is what I've been using in my car. This has everything it needs in it for the limited slip differential. If you end up buying a 75W90 that doesn't have the limited slip additive in it, you can go ahead and get yourself a bottle of the Kendall limited slip additive, and this will do I think about 2 quarts of fluid. So if you're doing a rear fluid change, you need 2 bottles of this and 1 bottle of this. But remember, if you get it with the limited slip additive already in it, you don't need to add the Kendall. If you can't find either of these brands, remember you're looking for 75W90 weight gear oil. If it doesn't have the limited slip additive in it, go ahead and add the Kendall. And whatever fluid you buy needs to at least meet the API GL5 lubricant standard. So down here, you'll find a link to my companion blog article where I'll reiterate all these specifications and where you can purchase these fluids. Up here, you'll see a link to the article on how to change your rear differential fluid. And if you like articles like these, please go ahead and subscribe. And as always, I'd love to hear your comments. Please leave those down below. Thanks for watching.